Greetings, YouTube. I was idly fiddling with one of my holy symbols the other day, and these are actually holy symbols like where a pentacle, which you're not going to show yourself, are you? Because you're holding in a weird spot. There's a pentacle and an ankh. And I found myself revisiting something that had happened to me years ago, shortly after. Actually, it was fairly far into the establishment of 3.5, and we'd made the transition to 3.5 at that point, and we were just happy. We were comfortable with the system, and the future of a new edition had not arrived yet. People had not started getting to the zeitgeist of, well, what's the next edition going to look like? We were in that grace period, that little golden era in the center, where between people becoming comfortable with the system and before people started pondering the next system. So there's a very small window in there, but that's where we were, and people were talking about holy symbols. Now, by canon, both in Pathfinder 3.5 and Pathfinder 0.2, the most common thing to make holy symbols out of is silver and wood. Now, wood is obviously going to be used by like druids and other nature-based religions, or maybe ones that have a vow of poverty, that kind of thing, or in case you have to make one in the field, say you've been stripped of your possessions and you need to make a holy symbol, you can make out of wood and you're good. And then silver is the more precious version. And I didn't really think about that a whole lot. So one person pointed out one day that their reading of this, the rules as written, rules as written, raw, you get a raw deal on that. Rules as written was that if your holy symbol was made out of anything other than wood or silver, it wouldn't work. So imagine the scenario. Your character, finds a gold holy symbol of your deity. Say it was owned by a rich patron of your god. They weren't a member of the ecclesiastic society themselves, but they were just wealthy and they had a gold holy symbol, and you find their corpse or whatever. Now you've got a gold holy symbol and you're all excited, and then you encounter an undead and you hold out your gold holy symbol like, back demon, and nothing happens. And your god chuckles and goes, ha ha ha, burned ya. That's literally what this person was postulating, that a holy symbol made from a material other than wood or silver would not operate. It would not allow you to channel divine energy through it for the purposes of casting spells or warding off undead, yada, yada, yada. And yes, I know I said demon and undead. Cut me some slack. And I thought that was really stupid. Because if you were in good standing, then the gods wouldn't do that to you. Now, one of the in-game reasons for this is that they want you to actually have a hand occupied, have a hand free for it. Like you have to have a hand free to cast a spell. Okay, so they want you to have a hand free to use your holy symbol. And I kind of understand that. The action of casting a spell, here, I'll use my fingernail file here. Casting a spell, you need to hold it there. So this means that you're not casting the spell with your hands are empty and you're doing something else. You're not getting a freebie. Okay? You can't be doing two different things at the same time, even though there's nothing preventing you from doing this and holding a shield at the same time. Okay? So I've always thought that there was also another underlying concept, and this came up in the thread because all of this was being spoken about on a board somewhere, and that was that one of the reasons you had a physical holy symbol is because it could be broken. Okay? Now, the idea there is that by making the holy symbol vulnerable, you put it into the same category as every other physical object in the game. That it was the same as a sword, it was the same as, a rod or a staff or a wand. It could be sundered, it could be destroyed, thus depriving the player character and the player of a resource. So now their character is kind of screwed. Now I can't use I can't use certain spells and actions and abilities because my holy symbol is now broken, lying on the ground. And that kind of nitpicking inventory control, that kind of gotcha, okay, now we've taken this away from you, so you can't use it kind of thing, really bugs the hell out of me. So I've often worked on the concept that holy symbols can be made for anything. And not only can holy symbols be made from anything, holy symbols don't have to physically exist at all. They could be things that aren't physical objects. What do I mean by that? They could be tattoos, and they can be scarification or branding or something on your person that is an obvious symbol of your deity. Say you are a worshiper of a nature god and you have a specific symbol. There's no reason you can't have that tattooed on the palm of your hand. You still have to use your hand. You hold it up in front of you. Bingo. And that then works as your holy symbol. You can't sunder it, though. But there are lots of abilities in the game that can't be sundered, and no one even bats an eye at it. Look at a monk's abilities. None of them can be. Look at a warlock. Look at a soul knife. Yeah, you can break the soul knife's soul blade. They just make another one the next round. All right? There are lots of abilities that cannot, almost nothing in this whole psionic sphere can be broken. Even the psychic spells from first edition Pathfinder and the occult stuff, even though most of those can't be sundered. Okay? There's no reason that you have to put divine spellcasting into this category the same as a fighter or as in a magic item. That bothers me. It seems to devalue the whole aspect of being a divine caster. I mean, you could have a brand on your chest and you have to reach over and you touch it. Say you have a tattoo or a brand on your forehead, but you still have to do this or something, you know what I mean? And that focuses the power. But the point is, as long as you're using the one hand thing, which I think is reasonable. It's reasonable to say you have to have, if the spell requires a somatic or a material component, if the spell requires neither a somatic or a material component, it doesn't matter. If it's a purely verbal spell, it's a purely verbal spell. So I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with the concept that if you don't read the book exactly like this, you're playing the game wrong. Because I'm a firm believer that no rule system has ever survived an encounter with a gaming group. None. I mean, I can remember the first time I ever played 3rd edition. Before I even got into the game, I had just decided we're going to start up this third. It was actually 3.5. It was new 3.5 campaign. I came out of the gate. It was a brand new system at that point. And I'm like, bingo, here's the house rules. And they're like, didn't this game just came out? I said, yes, they did. Just the rules just came out, and I don't agree with this, and this. So we're doing it this way. Did they all stand? No, they didn't. Did I end up having house rules? Yes, I did. Because things evolve, things change. And again, even though we are all starting from the same page, we don't end up playing the same game. But it's nice if we're all starting from the same page, in my opinion. Yes, it is. I like the idea that we're all literally looking at the same page. So let's talk about holy symbols. How have you used them in your games? Do you require them to be physical objects? Or again, can you agree with me that you can have them be brands or scarifications or tattoos, so long as the person is still using a single hand to demonstrate that they are using a holy symbol for the purposes of casting a spell that requires a semantic or a material component. If there could be other material components as well, but I've always thought that if you're casting divine spell, one of the semantic aspects is probably going to be the use of your holy symbol in some way. All right, so let's talk about holy symbols. And by the way, do any of you out there wear any